I can't bang a gavel, but the board met tonight in executive session. We're now ready to continue with the public portion of our meeting. We did have communication this week from Jill Engel, Joan DeYoung, Jordan Schaefer, and Douglas Hellstern on matters related to the budget. I believe that those concerns, which were all similar, expressed in those emails, will be dealt with in the course of the budget presentation. The President's Report. First, I want to recognize Joan DeYoung. As you can see on tonight's agenda, she is retiring. And it's a bittersweet thing for me. I'm happy for Joan, who will be starting a new chapter in her life, but I'm sad because she's a really beloved institution at Ridgewood Avenue School. She's cared for generations of students, faculty, parents with warmth, grace, and efficiency. And I think her shoes will be big ones to fill. I want to make a comment about Officer Rob. We are all thinking about him and praying for him, for Alice, for their children, for their family. I know that our thoughts and prayers are lifting them all up, and the community has rallied around them, will continue to do so. I also continue to be thankful on behalf of the board for all our police officers, first responders, medical personnel, and all of those who continue to fulfill essential needs during this crisis. This is our official budget hearing tonight. We will have the normal public comment periods at the beginning and the end of the meeting. I want you to remember that any budget that anyone makes is a plan. Sometimes circumstances beyond our control may force us to adjust that plan. I also want to catch you up on a few state developments. The legislature has passed and the governor has signed legislation extending FY20, which is the current fiscal year, until September 30th. An appropriations bill to provide funding for that fiscal year extension will come soon, probably on May 14th. We don't know how much state aid we'll receive during that 3-month budget extension period. It may be the amount promised in February for the 2021 fiscal year, or it may be the smaller amount that we receive for the 1920 fiscal year. In either case, our fiscal year here in the school district begins on July 1st. We have to go forward finalizing our budget tonight based on the state aid figures we received in February. We can't make a budget that speculates on other state aid figures. But clearly, since we received a boost in state aid that would have started July 1st, if we don't receive that, we will lose some money. Not a good thing at any time. On May 22nd, the New Jersey State Treasurer will report on updated state revenue collections with projections for FY21. This is really important because we'll see how the economy is doing, presumably as we're coming out of the coronavirus crisis. On August 25th, the governor will give a budget address outlining the revised FY21 budget, which will run from October 1st to June 30th, 2021. If state aid amounts change, we will know it shortly after that. That is shortly after September 30th. If state aid amounts change and are revised downwards, the district would have to make cuts after the start of the school year. One more thing, property tax revenue is another variable in our budget equation. The Senate has not yet moved on A3902, which we discussed at our previous meeting, that would allow municipalities to delay or prorate payments of school taxes to school districts and counties during this current emergency. It's still in the legislative mix. Perhaps it will go through with amendments, perhaps not. Local property taxes account for well over 90% of our school district's revenues. So any shortfalls in delivery of local tax money would have a serious impact on our budget. I know Dirk will address this, but many people are concerned about rites of passage like graduation. We've had no guidance from the DOE on that. Possibly because the governor has not said whether we will be back in this school year or whether we will be out through June. So we all wait for guidance on that. And we also wait for guidance on reopening schools. There's been a great deal of discussion of that at the state level and obviously in every district in the state. Recently, there have been some articles in New York Times, Wall Street Journal, NPR about what schools might look like reopening after coronavirus. Most of the examples they cite are in other countries, for example, Denmark. But we await guidance on how and when we will reopen our schools. And one last thing with regard to federal money, New Jersey is entitled to some federal money, education money under the CARES Act. It doesn't look like we'll get an awful lot, and it will be distributed by way of the federal Title I formula. Glen Ridge historically did not receive very much Title I money. So unless we receive some discretionary money from the governor, which is not out of the question, our allocation of federal money will not be large. And that is the president's report. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I also would like to send my thoughts and prayers with Rob Roberts and his family. Rob has had a tremendous impact on this community as a police officer, as a parent, as a community leader. Some are just volunteers. So we're wishing the best for Rob. Joan DeYoung, who starred back here in September 1995, did sent me her letter of retirement about a week and a half ago. I've had the pleasure of coaching and teaching some of her own children. I've worked with Joan when I was the principal at Ridgewood Avenue School, and it was a great pleasure of mine. Hundreds of students and staff made their way through her doors to get medical care and sometimes emotional care. And Joan was the best at giving out both. She's immeasurable to what she means to Ridgewood Avenue School. She's had an enormous impact on the culture, the faculty, and the students, and showed so much care and for the students and reassured parents throughout the years that everything would work out. So she's gonna be, I wish her the best, but she will certainly be missed. A little update on instruction. After the spring break, we've had some adjustments done at certain of the buildings just to provide a little more face time and to start looking at other ways we could hopefully get the students to interact more. We're obviously concerned about social and emotional needs at this time when they're not interacting as frequently as they did under normal circumstances. So it's nice to see the schools to think a little bit outside the box and figure out ways that they can get the students to work collaboratively, whether it's through the course, who sent us a lovely video, or the drama club. The high school is now using Fridays to do some co-curricular activities so the students can start interacting through their club activities. And we're looking at ways to maybe incorporate some grade-wise or school-wide assemblies online so the students have some shared experiences. As Betsy mentioned, we are closed until May 15th, and we're waiting for an update from the governor, who has indicated he probably will not make another announcement until around that time. We deal with a lot of different past legislation, and we try to anticipate what's happening with some of the proposed legislation out there. It's difficult to develop any concrete plans with the road in front of us not being visible. A lot of speculation at this time. The principals and the building administrators are working on end of the year ceremonies, anticipating that we may be shut down. And so trying to plan those ceremonies virtually and making sure that we're doing the end of the year events either during the summertime or next school year that they might have missed out at this in this spring. As far as school reopening, again, it's just such an unknown. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of what ifs. I've been sitting on a lot of committee meetings throughout the last few weeks, speaking with a lot of superintendent groups and just looking for a little more guidance of what it may be like if we were to reopen, what would be some of the requirements so we could plan properly. We speculate, we anticipate, and then we plan the best that we can. So whatever decision is made, that we'd be as prepared as possible. Construction update, the new power source at Linden Avenue School and Forest Avenue School has transitioned over, so that will allow us to test the air conditioning system, and that's really the last few steps that we're going to have as far as that construction project is. They're test the AC system for efficiencies. Central School is down to a few minor tasks. We're waiting for the elevator to pass inspection and some more work on the exterior brick, but they should be done within the next couple of weeks. And Ridgewood Avenue is getting very close to completion also with their AC system and working on the punch list. The contractor for Ridgewood Avenue had a trailer in the Central School parking lot for the last several months, and that has been removed, which is a good sign that he's ready to move on from Ridgewood Avenue. Tonight we have the budget presentation. Every year the budget process is challenging. There's difficult decisions that need to be made as we try to enhance instruction without harming any other aspect of it, and that's not always possible to do. This year was no different than years past. I want to thank the Finance Committee for all the time, input, and suggestions. Barbara Murphy, our business administrator, who will be presenting tonight, and the administrative team. All groups participated to developing the 2020-21 school budget. Like I mentioned earlier, we had some difficult decisions to make. We've heard from the public about positions they would like to see added, and we did our best to meet those needs. And whenever we add positions, that causes some financial obligations, and we have to look at other positions that we may have to cut, and that's part of every budget is evolving it to meet the current needs of the district. So I'm going to let Barbara Murphy present the 2020-21 school budget.
Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. Glenridge Public Schools 2021 budget. Everybody can see it?
Yes.
Up there? Okay, good. Tradition of excellence. As we work on our budget, we consider our students' success. We see evidence of success in our graduation rate of 98%. 97% of the class of 2019 went on to a four-year college. We have an increasing number of students taking AP exams, as evidenced by the increase in exams from just 280 in 2012 to 641 AP exams in 2020. 3/4 of juniors and seniors are enrolled in at least one AP class. Recent program additions include Capstone, Economics, Physics C, and 2D Studio Art Photography. We have National Merit Scholars, Advanced Placement Scholars, New York Times Review Essay winners, nationally recognized musicians and marching band, and Model UN Award winners. We are also recognized by college boards and state and national publications as a top performing high school. Budget timeline. Our Finance Committee meets throughout the year to provide input and recommendations for the budget. Administrators also meet throughout the year. Building and department budgets were submitted back in December. The preliminary budget was presented and approved by the board in March. It was then approved by the county in April, and tonight the final 2021 budget is on the agenda for the board to adopt. 2021 proposed budget revenues. We are using $1,588,281 in budgeted fund balance to support our budget, which is similar to last year's amount. We're using a capital reserve withdrawal of $450,845 to support our capital projects, a local tax levy of $31,352,804, which represents an increase of just over 3%. Our tuition revenues are decreasing to $480,412. Rents, miscellaneous revenues, and capital reserve interest remain relatively stable, and our state aid increased to $1,434,732, or by 16.57%. Our total general fund operating budget is increasing by 3.38%. The tax levy revenues make up 88% of our budget. Our budgeted fund balance makes up 4.5%, and state aid makes up 4%. We receive some tuition, which makes 1.4% of our revenues. And as you can see, the local tax levy supports the majority of our budget. Our revenue history. When we look at our history of state aid, we see that in 2010-11, the state took away all our state aid, which was $1.2 million. We've been gradually getting a little more state aid each year. This year, we welcome another increase in state aid, $203,994 more than the total received in 1920. Our tax levy increases have been relatively stable between 2% and 3.26% over the last 10 years. For 2021, we're proposing a 3.16% tax levy increase. This chart compares 2019-20 budget to the 2021 proposed budget and shows the percent change. With salary increases and the general cost of goods increasing, we would expect to see a 2 to 4% increase in most lines. However, we see special ed instruction increasing by 9%. This can be mostly attributed to the addition of a new self-contained class at Ridgewood Avenue School, which includes a new teacher, a new aide, and supplies. Other instruction, basic skills instruction, is showing an increase of 27%. This can be attributed to the addition of an Orton Gillingham reading specialist. We can see tuition expenses decreasing by 17%, as some students who were placed in out-of-district schools have graduated, moved out of district, or returned to our schools. Support services are set to increase by 14%. This increase can be attributed to the addition of a full-time nurse at Central School, additional counselor hours at the elementary schools, additional related services, aids, and library supplies for Central School. Transportation costs are expected to decrease by 5% due to fewer out-of-district placements. Employee benefits are expected to increase by 7%. 4.5% of that increase is due to the rate increase. The other 2.5% is for benefits for the additional staff that we've added to our budget. Capital outlay is expected to increase by 7% for the Ridgewood Avenue School auditorium roof and rooftop is expected to increase by 3.38%, resulting in a tax levy increase of 3.16%. Salaries and benefits make up 77% of our budget. Salaries are spread throughout this pie and included as part of most of the categories. Regular ed instruction makes up 35% of our budget. Special ed instruction in district makes up 7%, 3%. Tuition to send our students out of district is 6%. Support services, 11%. Administration, 10%. Maintenance and operations, 8%. Transportation, 3%. Employee benefits, 16%. And capital outlay, 2%. 2021 year-over-year budget increases. Our budget includes the following increases. A first grade teacher for $86,245 for salary and benefits. A nurse at Central School, $98,617. Self-contained class at Ridgewood Avenue School, $112,245. Orton Gillingham teacher, $88,245. An increase in elementary counselor hours, $13,825. Assistant swim coach, $3,325. Photo club, $2,335. Physics club, computer science honor society, and science honor society, each $1,520. And rooftop unit replacements at Ridgewood Avenue Schools, $675,000. $2021 year-over-year budget decreases. Out of district tuition and transportation is down $457,546. Two aides down $46,000. Part-time secretary $43,722. Technology supplies $44,700. Assistant football coach $6,691. Assistant winter cheer coach $2,778. Film club $1,890. String ensemble $1,690. Debate club $2,335. When we compare our per pupil costs to other schools in the area, we see that historically we are an efficient district. Our per pupil costs for the 1920 budget are $15,940, which is in the middle of most districts on the list. Actually, 6 districts are higher and only 2 are lower. If we compare our district to Mountain Lakes, we're spending over $8,000 less per student, and we still see evidence of great success in our students. The tax impact of the general fund tax levy on the average house in Glen Ridge, assessed at $665,784, is projected to increase by $359.40 for the year, or $29.95 per month. We are grateful for the incredible support our district receives from our community in both funding and hours of time donated. Our Art Parents Association supports our art program and scholarships. Our athletic teams and booster clubs support us with uniforms and supplies. The Glen Ridge Education Association generously donates funds for our literacy consultants, robotics team, DBQ project, teacher grants, and virtual high school. Our home and school associations are very active and have funded Chromebooks, classroom furniture, LGI room renovations, faculty room renovations, and security measures. Our Music Parents Association supports our music program and scholarships, and we are fortunate to have many other community groups supporting us too, including Grace, Gas Lamp, Age, the GRAA, and other private donations. We are truly grateful. We are also incredibly grateful for our Board of Education volunteers for their endless hours of support throughout the years. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Barbara. We have now come, before we come to public comment, I will ask board members if they have any questions. Board members, any questions? No? Okay, we will turn to the public then. This is the first public comment period. For those of you who are not familiar with our public comment rules, they're the same rules we use when we are appearing before you in person. Yes? When we're appearing before you in person. You have 2 minutes for public comment in each of the 2 public comment periods, this one and the one at the end. When on the Zoom function, if you can raise your hand, when it is your turn, please give us your name and confirm your Glenridge residency. If you have multiple comments for us, please give them all to us at once so we can then deal with them in the order that you give them. And so we will now start with public comment. Does anyone have a comment for us?
There's raising your hand is on the participant tab. There's
Yes,
a way
I did say that.
Hand. You don't actually have to physically raise your hands.
No. Thank you, Heather. Like a good teacher, Heather has advised us. So yes, raise your hands. First hit participant, then you can raise your hand. I'm looking to see if any hands are raised.
Yeah, they're going up now.
Yes, I see Jordan Schaefer. Jordan, please go ahead.
Hi there. Just want to, is my audio working?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Board members, thank you. Tonight you're being asked to adopt the 2021 school year budget. Before doing so, I ask you to reconsider the proposed elimination of the part-time secretary position at Ridgewood Avenue School, which I currently hold. I'm disappointed to lose a job I truly enjoy, but this elimination is incredibly concerning to me as a parent with 2 children in the school. You've spent more than the past year assessing and implementing security for our school, most of which were put into place assuming 2 front office employees. Ridgewood is a hub of constant activity, requiring 2 people to manage the flow in and out of the building, while also maintaining surveillance and coverage for the rest of the building. It's also worth noting that an important part of my job is the daily attendance, which accounts for the safe arrival or confirmed whereabouts of every one of our 600 students each morning. Compromising coverage by half is dangerous for our students and our staff and undermines the security priority you've promised our families. In the past 5 years, Ridgewood has adjusted from 2 full-time secretaries to 1.5, both of us working at or above max capacity to keep the office and the school running efficiently. Whereas the high school operates with 3 full-time and 2 part-time secretaries to support 800 students and 100 staff, Ridgewood will be left with 1 full-time position to support 600 students and more than 60 staff. No matter how competent, patient, and productive she is, 1 full-time person doing the work of 2 will inevitably result in inefficiencies to the detriment of the school. This is of particular concern now, given the extraordinary conditions under which we will be returning after the quarantine. I do appreciate the challenging situation the district is in, compounded by an extraordinary climate of uncertainty. I recognize the number on the spreadsheet that equates to my salary helps achieve a necessary goal. It is my hope that the board recognizes the individual on the other side of that number represents contribution and commitment that cannot be quantified, and that the role itself is critical to Ridgewood's school operations. Earlier this year, I proposed to Mike Donovan reducing my position to a 10-month role for budget savings. That offer still stands if the district is willing to reconsider it. I am willing to discuss any additional and creative ways to recoup enough budget to cover my salary. And again, I ask the board to reconsider this elimination and hold off on adopting the budget until an alternative is determined. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Dirk, anything that you want to add?
Just to address some of the security issues that was brought up. The upgrades that we installed with the school systems were not contingent on personnel. I think anytime you lose any personnel, there's a potential security concerns because it's 1 less person in the building. Ridgewood Avenue does have 1.5 secretaries. There is a portion of the day that office is only manned by 1 of the secretaries, just due to hours and lunch breaks. I would rely on Mr. Heitman and Dr. Donovan if they believed it was necessary to staff additional people because of security concerns, that they would work staff duties into that position. Again, at the beginning, I mentioned that it's always difficult to cut positions Ideally, we wouldn't have to be cutting as we're seeing our district grow, as we're seeing our public want more and more services, that we would ideally keep all of the personnel and expand on the with additional personnel, but that hasn't been, that is not within our financial responsibilities to do that. And there's always that balance of moving forward and looking at what you currently have in place. So I certainly understand how difficult this is, and the decision was not made easily.
Okay. I believe, and if I'm getting the order wrong, forgive me, that Diane Preston's hand was next.
Yeah. Hi, Diane Preston, resident of Glenridge. I just want to second a lot of what Jordan just said. I spend enough time in the Ridgewood office to see that it is always too busy for two people, and to have one less, I don't know how you would manage all that. But again, on the security issue, at meetings last year with the board, with the presentation from the outside consultants on security, it was reiterated every time that the most important aspect of security are eyeballs on the people on coming and going, that eyes are more important than any electronic devices we put in. So it seems to me having only one dedicated set of eyeballs that is watching the front of the school is a compromise of security, to just have one, because there's no way one person can do the job and all the different tasks and be watching at all times. And I hear that, some other staff might be pulled in. I think you're also compromising other staff's position if you're constantly rotating people in to help in the office. I'm not sure how that would be handled. So it concerns me as a parent from a security perspective, and also just what's going to fall through the cracks when they're already have a little bit too much to do in that office to take one away. So.
Thank you. Okay, I believe Karina is next. Okay. Karina Slatton? Yeah.
Lockman, 12 Summit Street in Glenridge. I would also like to reiterate that I'm concerned about the cutting of the position at Ridgewood Avenue School. I am an active member of the HSA and have been in the school many times and have seen how hard the administrative staff work to keep our kids safe. I have also seen the challenges at the lower schools with having one person dealing with security, and how pulling aides and other staff members is a challenge. So I would hope that that would not be the solution with cutting that position. That's very concerning to me that that would be the solution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I believe John Decker is next. Can we unmute John Decker? There we go. John?
Hi, John Decker, 218 Forest Ave. Yeah, again, regarding the people who are working in the office, number one, we finally have a security system in place to protect us against the threats to the teachers and the children. And as somebody else had mentioned, taking eyes off of that system doesn't seem to make sense. I believe Superintendent Phillips mentioned that the system can run with less people. I'd be interested in hearing details, as to how that does run, unless I heard you incorrectly. And then lastly, I don't think it makes sense to pull a principal or an assistant principal from their day-to-day duties to cover when somebody goes on lunch break or goes on bathroom break or has to step away, or pulling a nurse from caring for the kids. It just doesn't sound like a wise idea, considering the fact that we've had risks in the past.
Okay, thank you. I believe Matthew Willoughby is next.
Hi, Matthew Willoughby, 31 Woodland Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same topic, but I think a different. I'm a high school principal and I have been for many years. A high school about 400 students, And just, I know the burden of the secretaries in terms of not just, it's not just security at the front door, but the support of the overall staff and the role that the administrative team, and I never had less than 2 full-time people to satisfy the needs of the teachers, the needs of the administration, the active needs of the community who are in and out often interacting with the school community. I know how all the budget, I mean, it's a big puzzle, but the secretaries are known as linchpins in schools, and to think about taking away half of a linchpin to save what is actually marginal money around the edges of the budget, it could have pretty devastating effects, especially as we're going to have an administrative burden that not everyone even can anticipate coming off of not being in schools. So as we come back to schools, there are a whole lot of things that we have to worry about administratively that we don't even know yet we have to worry about administratively. And I would hate for us to either not have the manpower, but also not have the connections with the entire community that we have right now as we head into some more unknown.
Okay, thank you. Are there comments? Don't see other hands, but going down the line here.
Betsy, they automatically come to the top, so there's
I
one
know,
at the top now.
and I'm just making sure. So no other comments?
No, there's one.
Let me come back to the top. Okay, A. McCabe.
Yes, my name is Amanda McCabe. I live at 205 Baldwin. I'm just wondering about how this decision was made as far as there being there being so much support staff at the high school, and reducing it to such a small, to just one person at Ridgewood. And then I'm curious about how, if this is supported at Ridgewood Avenue, with Dr. Donovan and Mr. Heitman, do they feel like this is a good choice for the school?
Okay, thank you. Dirk, would you like to speak to that, perhaps to the process?
Yeah, the process, as Barbara Murphy laid out, is we meet with the administrative team several times to discuss where we are with the budget, some potential obstacles moving forward. And this year we met several times because we had significant cuts we had to make based on some of our priorities. So all the administrators did have an opportunity to have input. I don't think any administrator is supportive of losing a position. It's always difficult. It's always finding new ways of making sure the operations are efficient. But there was input from the administrative team at Ridgewood Avenue.
Okay. Any other comments? Dirk, perhaps you could speak to the budget timeline in terms of the need to have a vote tonight, because some people have asked us to put off a vote.
Barbara's probably best. She has the dates. Part of the budget process is we have to submit it to a county by a certain date. Our next board meeting is beyond that date. So it's important that we any adjustments that need to be made would have to be voted on tonight. Barbara?
Yes, tonight's the public hearing, so before any changes would have to be made before the gavel came down. And if for some reason the board did not vote or adopt a budget tonight, then the executive county superintendent would be the one to adopt our budget.
Okay. All right, thank you all. It is the first, last meeting, we delayed committee and liaison reports. The wisdom of the board, we don't usually delay twice in a row, although we haven't had a lot of committee meetings. Is there anyone who has a committee or liaison report that is time sensitive? No. I see that I may have overlooked somebody in public comment. And if that is the case, I am sorry. It is Kelly Moylan. Kelly, if I overlooked you, please go ahead now.
Thank you. I'm Kelly Moylan. I live in Glen Ridge at 300 Linden Avenue. And I just wanted to echo some of the sentiments that other people had shared about their concerns about the elimination of this position. I have been consistently impressed with the efficiency at the Ridgewood Avenue School. I have lived here since my older son started in pre-K at Linden. And Ridgewood, I feel like, is really a standout in terms of the efficiency and the organization and how well the security has been implemented. And I really believe that that has a lot to do with the fact that there are two people sharing the job. And it really concerns me. My younger son will be starting there next year. And it would be really disappointed if the security didn't feel as airtight as it does now. And I would really be disappointed if, like, the efficiency of the administrative aspects of how the school are managed was, sort of lessened. It's been a really, really good experience. And I think a lot of that has to do, as Matt Willoughby was saying, like, the administrative staff are really very often the linchpin of a lot of organizations. And I think that's especially true in a school. And I've seen that, and I would hate to lose that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Apologies for not seeing your hand.
No.
Continuing, does any board member have a committee or liaison report that is time sensitive?
No.
Anyone?
No.
Okay.
Not for myself.
All right. I will just give a brief one because the Ridgewood Avenue Home and School met this afternoon for a virtual meeting. We had a record number of people. We had, I think, 35 people. Mr. Donovan gave the report about the status of the virtual learning team, how they've met, how they've worked together as the online learning process, the school closure has advanced, how they deal with students who are not as perhaps receptive to the online process as some other students. As Mr. Donovan said to us, some students are doing very, very well. Most students are doing just fine, but there are some for whom distance learning is more problematic than others, and the teachers are putting special effort into that. He talked about the worry about special ed kids, certainly a concern statewide. And he also talked a little bit about rites of passage that I referred to before. They hope to keep the sixth grade graduation celebration as an in-person one, even if it has to be in August. So the home and school and the entire Ridgewood community will hear more about that, I'm sure. So if no one else has a committee or liaison report that is time sensitive, let's go on with our administrative items. You have in your packet a set of minutes from April 6th, 2020, executive session and regular session. Does anyone have any changes to those minutes? No. No? Okay. If that's the case, Michael, may I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move M1.
All right, may I have a second?
Second.
Second from Anthony?
No.
Oh.
That was
Sorry, Michael. When you move and when you second, please just give your name because sometimes it's hard to see.
David.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, seconded by David. If there's no discussion, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet,
Abstain.
Ms. Boyle-Vellucci,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye.
Ms. St. Auburn,
Aye.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. We have one administrative item, which is the first reading of new or revised policies and regulations. The Personnel and Policy Committee met to discuss these. They are uniformly changes to reflect changes in legislation or in code. So with that being the case, David, would you move the administrative item?
I move A1.
All right. May I have a second?
Second.
Second from Ally?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion on any of, or questions from the board on these personnel items? Policy items, rather.
Administrative.
Okay. Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet,
Abstain.
Ms.
Sorry.
Abstain. Ms. Boyle-Belucci,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye.
Ms. St. Auburn,
Aye.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have some personnel items. Tracy, would you move the personnel items?
Yes, I move P1 and P2.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Second from Ally. All right, in keeping with our rules, personnel items are discussed in exec session. So Barbara, when you're ready, if you would call the roll.
Mr. Bonnet,
Abstain.
Ms. Boyle-Belucci,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye.
Ms. St. Auburn,
Aye.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we have come to the business items. Paul, would you move the business items, please?
Yes, I'd like to move items B1 through B7.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Second from Teresa. Any further discussion on the business items, which includes the 2021 school budget? Okay. Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet,
Aye.
Ms. Boyle-Belucci,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye.
Ms. St. Auburn,
Aye.
Dr. Yaros Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye. Motion carries. We have now come to the second public comment period for comments on agenda or non-agenda items having to do with the schools. So the same rules apply. So please raise your hand and I will call on you, attempt to call on you in the order in which you raise your hand. Okay, I see one hand. I believe it is Snyder.
Tricia Snyder, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So we usually live at 170 Hawthorne. I had a question about, two questions real quick. If the state funding is reduced, I assume you were talking earlier that we'd probably have to make this up in property taxes. Is that correct?
No, well, perhaps ultimately, but if our state funding is reduced either in the 3-month budget extension period or the shortened fiscal year that will start October 1st, we can't go out for new taxes then. We would have to make up the difference by making more cuts.
Okay. Then the other question, it's just a little bit more of a personal question. I was wondering where we stood with the lawyer for the BOE in regards to reimbursement for the French trip.
Dirk, would you like to address that?
Yeah, we've been, the lawyer's been negotiating. We're actually going to send out an email to the parents whose children were going to go on the trip tomorrow with an update. This time we seem to have reached a tentative agreement with the company. of either a possible refund with some fees that they incurred based on lost deposits and or rescheduling the trip. And the recommendation of our lawyer is to take the refund.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Moved by Dave, may I have a second?
This is Paul. I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. Barbara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, I thought we didn't.
Well, since Barbara can call the roll, it sounds like there is anyone opposed?
No.
Okay.
Okay, if that is the case, we are adjourned. Thank you to everyone who has joined us tonight.
Thank you.